Freakout Friday! Wait, Friday Freakout? That's what it is. Hey, welcome to Another Guy Bicycles, Hey in the Garage, and TGIF. I think that might be copyrighted by some restaurant. Well, are they even still around? I don't know. Any case, hey, welcome back to Another Guy Bicycles, Hanging with the Guy. Hey, I'm Justin. I have a garage stop. If this is the first time you're watching this, either on the replay or live, welcome to my community. Hey, I've been in the cycling industry for over 35 years, and yes, that makes me old, and I still have hair. Somehow, some way, I still have, and it's growing in other places anyway, too. Here we are, full of dad jokes all day long, in addition to working in a bike shop. Over all these years, I have my own little garage shop here, and within this little garage shop, I do tune-ups. I do refurbishing bikes. I work on a lot of different kind of bikes, and I'm testing different techniques to working on bikes to keep it more fresh and entertaining for myself. This show is really for you cyclists that enjoy riding, to all those who like working on bikes, novice or professional, and also a community as well as even upper level management of a shop or what have you. But thanks for hanging out with me. I decided to come out with a new show on Fridays. A little bit shorter. This is only going to probably go about an hour or so, and kind of give insights of what you need to be getting ready for the weekend and what the bike shops are stressing out of trying to get finished for those who are going out to ride, and some of those insights in any case. I do have a chat below, or actually a chat to the side, whichever you find the chat. Go ahead and put in the questions, comments, your Friday freak out yourself. And also, if you're watching this on a replay, please comment below. This is a community, please share, and we will add you to the repertoire of conversation. In any case, talking about certain things that we're working on today. I have myself a beautiful Enduro specialized bike, full suspension, and this guy has never been ridden, really. I think it's hitting the bike paths and maybe a dirt road maybe twice in its life. It's my neighbor's bike. And when he got it, he had his aspirations of doing all those kind of riding, which his wife was really into riding, and he just never got into it. He has other bikes, and there it is. We have this particular one here. And he's basically given me the empowerment to go through it and try to sell it for him. So this is kind of refurbished, but this is also one of my suggestions on new bikes. If you just got yourself a new bike, either from a bike shop, a direct-to-consumer bike, that kind of thing, there's some things you might want to consider looking into or having done. I mean, you would assume that rolling it out of a bike shop, especially a corporate store bike shop, that everything should be hunky-dory and ready to go and fine-tuned. Sometimes yes, a lot of times no. Reason being is they're working on selling bikes in a mass production rate. In other words, a volume. So the individual hand care for each individual bike being built up sometimes gets dropped through the cracks of that particular business model. There's a lot of different types of shops out there, so don't discriminate all of them, but there is a few that just what happens. In addition to, since Trek and Specialized and Canyon and various other, you name it, many other brands of bikes get shipped to you direct now. And some of them are really good about pretty much pre-packaged, ready to go. All you have to do is put the front wheel on, your pedals, the seat posts, and adjust the bars, and on the way you go. Although, with all those techniques and preparing for those particular bikes to hit the floor and ready to roll, you'd assume it's all ready to go. Not quite always. Most of the time, yes. Depending on the bike itself, true. If you're buying different bikes from those a little less expensive brands and so forth, therefore you might find some little more work or uplift that needs to be done to those for safety. In any case, with any of those bikes, you should take it to your trusted mechanic to have it double checked and safety checked for you, just to make sure everything is tight, adjusted, and good for that ride. Because we all here for about safety first. But in any case, let's just, without further ado, let's just plug our sponsor of the show. And if you have a bike that's older that needs newer wheels, but you don't want to go through the whole used thing, but is an older rim brake style or what have you, this show is brought to you by
Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and true. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set where it works for you.
Use that as a transition to move my angle here. Hopefully this works out for everyone here to actually kind of see what I'm doing. So this particular one is kind of a combo twofer in a sense. Why is it a twofer? Well, I'm doing a ceramic coating on the frame just because. I feel that elevates basically the sell of the bike, gives a little added protection for the new owner of the bike, as well as you're selling it as a used market. Right now is really kind of a dead market for full bikes and even new bikes as well. Not to say there's some being sold here and there, but it definitely is slowed down. So there's a great freak out right there in a sense of the market kind of just getting really soft. So the dollar amount that he wants to get out of this bike is going to be a hard lift, needless to say, and it's going to probably take a little time to actually move this particular unit. Although it's basically brand new, and it has, to elevate that, I'm doing two major things to this bike. Number one, doing the ceramic coating, and I use Ceramic SRAM is my ceramic coating that I use, and it's an auto detailing product where a lot of those products are excellent on bikes because they cross over a lot of the same materials. And needless to say, you should use the best product possible, and sometimes that is not within the cycling industry. Sometimes it's outside the cycling industry. Sorry, cycling industry, it's not all about you. As we have Bob the bike rep hanging in the back corner there with his Cutter jersey ready for the weekend. In any case, talking about that ceramic coating, that makes the bike actually pop, show better in the pictures, in person, and all that. A lot of bike shops do this with some kind of a wax of some sort of, when they polish up a bike, or when they go through them, they've been sitting there for a while, air up the tires, dust off them, and put a little bit of coating on there, whatever they may use. This is the same kind of concept. The second thing is I'm waxing the chain. Yeah, it was a little dirty from the manufacturer grease that attracted whatever two rides he was on, and basically brought it back to its more gray color versus black sticky hot mess from the manufacturer. And this is a SRAM PC1110 chain with a what they call PowerLink from them versus QuickLink, whatever. So this is going to get submerged in hot silica wax, becoming a huge trend these days. Ooh, this stuff right here, and you can buy these chains pre-waxed. Either I do have a few on my website from Connex. That's the only chain that I really carry. But there's another Vital Bike Chains. They are based out of Florida, and that's all he does is chain waxing, and he has a stock of mostly Shimano and SRAM with multiple speeds. So give him a look-see if you're wanting to do a wax chain without the process of cleaning it all yourself. It is kind of a messy process, that kind of deal. But we're going to start the process on this one and give you a little look-see. I do have a two-pot system, and it is basically a waxer that you wax your personal bits. So you don't have to get the expensive one. I do a two-pot reason because I call this the dirty wax on this side, and it has a little filter on the bottom or a screen to capture the grit stuff that sheds off, either from a used chain or a chain that's being re-waxed. And then on this side here with a little bit, that's a higher temperature. Then I use a lower temperature on the other side for the clean wax. And therefore you get the best, stuff on there, and then you let it hang dry. I have videos on waxing this particular process. If you're looking for bits like that, you can find it on my Amazon store as well as below. But in any case, therefore, you can really do the process. These hold up. They're not that expensive. They're under $50 for the 2-pot waxer. And they may have gone up depending on whatever's been going on in the state. But this is like a $15 purse bag holder for display, so I can hang the chains really quickly. And therefore, that's it. Also, another quick note is after the wax is dried like these here, I run them through a old school, just standard chain cleaner that's never been used on chains for cleaning contaminants. It's always been used just for shedding the extra wax to help it break down. So therefore, this is going to add, in any case, what is this doing? What this doing is adding the elevated value to that used bike, right? That value to the used bike is going to be, if somebody's looking for that one bike and it comes on sale and they have the money to do it, they're going to buy it right at the gate. But as the market is softening, if you're doing everything you can to prep that used bike for sale. So in this particular case, yes, it's almost new, pretty much. And between the wax chain and ceramic coating of the frame, polishing the wheels with the wax and spokes and all the other bits, and gone through and fine-tuned it up. Best possible gate test ride to showmanship on pictures and all those other things for marketing that you should be doing when you're trying to sell one of your used bikes, especially for a price point like this. You need to put all those best foot forward. If you're looking to try to sell a bike that's anything over $200, swear to God, you need to make sure that the tires are aired up, it's polished, the chain is lubed, ready for a test ride. If it can't be test ridden, I'm telling everybody, if you roll up and you're looking for a $500, $1,000, or $2,000 used bike and you can't test ride it, walk away. That should be just a fielding question right off the bat. Anyway, but I see this all the time. That's why I bring it up. So that's enough on the used perspective on this particular bike. The reason what I'm going to talk about is on the new perspective of, like I alluded to earlier, is kind of this week's Freakout. Reason being is it directly affected 2 customers of mine and the bikes that they brought into me, which were pretty much new. And actually it's been 4 bikes within the last couple of weeks. So we will talk about that for sure. But what we should talk, anyway. Bicycles, hanging with the guy. Hey, I'm Justin, the guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to Jensen's USA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home. So, new bikes. Yeah. My little reader over here, so if anybody comments, I can actually see it. And thanks again for jumping in on a Friday. Hopefully you're just coming off of another live stream for a brother from another mother up north. You know him, and we are very similar in the same circles. And yeah, you can't really see me very well. So let's move this over here. And this is, yes, a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube. So please bear in mind all those things. Okay, so the problem is we have high volume bikes being pushed out on the market for decades. Over the years, the building practices for what needed to be done to what supposedly needs to be done have kind of changed. So technically the bikes are better out of the box to build as new, and cuts down the time for a bike builder, not the pro mechanic, the bike builders, which are pretty new to the cycling scene relatively. They are, no fault to them. It's mainly training and experience over time. And looking at this particular scenario of 4 different cases locally, coming from a corporate store, this has kind of brought up a very big topic piece for me, and especially with the customers that are basically really frustrated out of the gate because they got themselves nice bikes and they've had some surprises per se after that. And those surprises could have been nixed at the actual bike build level, where back in the day we had to do a lot more to prep a bike to make sure it was ready to ride, safe, and all those things. And one case is taking the wheels off, right? Well, nowadays, most of the new bikes, maybe just the front wheel is off, not the rear. So they're not really gonna take that wheel off because the company's Kool-Aid says direct-to-consumer ready. In other words, they don't need to look at that rear wheel. Okay, or front wheel that closely. Here comes the problem with a couple of them. The hubs are too tight. The bearings are too tight. I mean, you wouldn't really notice that when you're riding. You might, if you knew if they were adjusted, it'd be a smoother ride. But you're like, well, Justin, why is that a big deal? Maybe they're a little tight. Well, the bearings and most of and these were, the first set was $2,000 hybrid bikes. They had loose bearing, ball bearing cup set with races and stuff like this here. Just adjusted just a smidgen too tight over a period of time. That will crush that bearing or make it no longer round or pitted, and then it'll start chunking up the inside of the actual hub. That's a big problem. The idea of adjusting hubs, bottom brackets, and headsets, if they're adjustable, you want to have it as smooth as possible with no play. That's the concept behind it. It's been that way for decades, and lo and behold, these bikes, full carbon bikes, mind you, with loose ball bearing hubs, which I questioned the specking of that particular brand, but in any case, those were not looked into and addressed. Therefore, if they did do a lot of riding, those hubs will start cracking or the races will chip and they'll need to be overhauled. Yeah, they can be overhauled, loose bearings, doing that. It's just more of like you're disservicing the new bike and its journey. Will those hubs last a long time? Well, not with the hubs are too tight, and that might cause other problems. And this is where comes the big problem, as hubs are kind of crushed up, well, you might as well just, get a new wheel set, because that's what they're trained to do as Kool-Aid, is replace with new, replace with new, replace with new. I know this. I've worked it. I've been in shops that really push a lot of upselling of parts and accessories, any kind of service to the particular bike. And then for them, it gives them an opportunity to upsell or what have you. And hopefully with the trust with that brand and the shop, they can upsell you all those things. Granted, if a hub is adjusted correctly out of the gate and maintenance periodically every 5 to 10 years for being overhauled with fresh grease and maybe new bearings, that hub could pretty much last the whole duration of your life with that bike. So with them giving you a disservice on that one little micro part of it, what else is being missed? That's what really kind of chaps my hide, because these particular customers, they've bought multiple bikes from the shop, and that attention to detail is unfortunately been lost over time. Not to say that all shops are like this, and then there's some shops that are really overboard of really cleaning up the bike and so forth, being brand new. Well, the day and age and where we are today, consumable society, burn them and turn them, we want to sell you the newest thing down the road or around the corner, they don't really give a crap, and they're not going to. They're not going to change their policies of double checking the hubs and double checking certain things, torques on everything. They should have their torque wrenches out on each bike and making sure the cranks are there, the rear wheel and all that, and just educating the staff to the builder level, because regardless of whoever touches that bike has a obligation and responsibility, I think, within an industry that actually should give a crap, number one. Number two, of what they're doing. And number two is being safe for the rider and the best riding experience outcome of that bike that they've worked on. That should be the pride of actually the work that they're putting into it. Not quite the case, or maybe it's not an influence piece in their shop, or maybe it's the corporate Kool-Aid that's really just got muddled out and they're just thinking about volume. That alludes to these customers. They bought 6 or 7 bikes from the shop, and they're really questioning the current ones that they did, because this is the second round of bikes I've gotten. Not this one here, but another 2. One was a little bit older and one was a little bit newer. And there were a couple things that could have been addressed. And by golly, things need to be looked into, and also the consumers need to be educated on their bike, especially if it's an e-bike or something that they're not familiar with at all. If they're just a novice rider, you can't just assume that they know everything about the bike that they're purchasing. A lot of times, and sometimes, the buying that purchase of the bike is an impulse, believe it or not. But still, needless to say, you still should have that laundry list, a checklist, to making sure they know how everything works, how to take the wheels off, how to fix a flat, be mindful of transporting it, and all those other things that come with a bike. Because bikes themselves are a dangerous toy when it comes down to it. You're getting on 2 wheels, relying on your balance, and you're going to go play in traffic or off-trail roads or whatever the case. That leads to the big, oh crap, big news piece that hit this week, or was it this week? Yeah, Specialized is getting sued for one of their motors doing a spin out. It's an older model, assumingly, and yeah, it really brings the light of maybe you need to educate the customers a little bit more about their bike. This one might be a technical or a warranty issue and so forth, but that is a pretty heavy, not a good thing. Not a good thing. Actually, I need to do a transition again. Shop on Amazon. I do have a Amazon store, like the latest pick, basically, of products that are on sale, that kind of thing, and various other parts and tools and so forth that I suggest using within those particular categories. Check that out. Go through, and even if you don't buy the product that I suggest and you find something else that fits your needs better, or your grocery list, or whatever you end up buying, I get a little kick. So that's a good opportunity for you to get something, and I get something that helps support me doing what I'm doing. Yeah, to help support my channel and so forth. I got to do the shameless plugs here and there, but in any case, like with Amazon, with other affiliate links, it helps me, it helps you, and I get content to you free. If you like content like this or other videos I have, please like and subscribe as well. So I need to change my wax dip here. So I don't know if you can see very well, but essentially I pull, I'm lucky, and I always wear gloves so I'm not like burning my fingers directly with the wax. And I let the old wax or the hotter temperature wax drip off. And then these I can kind of slide them in and give it a little mushy moving around a little for the hot wax, and it'll still flake a little bit. So yeah, it is kind of a little bit of a hot, literally mess. Sometimes you can tell with my waxer here, it gets kind of drippy and messy. Therefore, there are services out there like Vital Chain. What they do is basically do the stripping for you. They have a service that does the stripping of a current chain. If you have or you used one or what have you, you want to send to them. They also have pre-wax chains, so it takes care of the stripping of all the manufacturer grease and refresh with a particular wax blend. He does like 3 different blends, and with 3 different brands, there's several blend types between them. So from a high performance to other, kind of jazzed about it because I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I'm going to produce a video of our conversation within the next week or 2. But in any case, that's kind of a fun thing. But back to this bike here, or back to the industry piece where, you know, specializes in hot water, and then there's like, CEOs are switching out. A whole bunch of people are getting laid off here and there. I had a video that dropped last week, which was Haro trying to save face in the sense some things have either leaked out or were presumed that they might be going under. The CEO's like out there like, no, we're fine. We're contacting our 600 dealers. We're just suffering all the disruptions like everybody else is suffering the disruptions. And yes, we had to reduce staff as well as all the other companies out there, Specialized, Trek, and all of them others included. And none of them are really having a great time right now. So between either the slowing economy or the tariffs in the United States or whatever the case may be, they're trying to just survive the brand and going forward. Well, that being said, lawsuits are being thrown out there. That's disruptive to just the day-to-day business and various others. And if you haven't seen any of the notes or so forth, it's kind of crazy what's going on out there. And it's almost daily there's something new that pops up. Let's see, I did have some of that. Let's check what is the latest of today. Oh, that just popped up right now. Let's just take a look at that and talk about it before the stream even. Let's do a little show and tell. Oh, no. Okay, this is a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube, so bear with me. Screen share. All right, let's just kind of roll through this together. So Giant Group, this is out of Brain, bicycle retailer, industry news. They're like our pipeline for the news, especially in the States oriented. Then the paper version's been circulated for decades. I still get the paper version too. But the online version here, there's, I believe, a link below to bicycle retailer. But in any case, revenue down 17% in the first 3 quarters. That basically headline covers most, if not all, of big manufacturer brands right now. And you won't see those numbers from Specialized specific, but you'll see it from a Merida, which builds 30% of bicycles, Specialized bicycles. So you can kind of get a pulse on how Specialized is holding up. Needless to say, they also have retail stores and so forth. Trek is really quiet. Some things do get leaked periodically, but from Trek, you don't know until way after the fact, and they do not have to or will not release numbers. But Giant is one of the leading bike manufacturers in the world for all markets. And they have a facility in Taiwan, in China, and various other countries where they produce bikes and all parts of it. So it looks like it's a short little article. And let's see here. Trends. Yeah, they're blaming the overall trends until they stabilize. We're going to look at some more downward trend. All right. So it looks like they're actually taking a little slight decrease on their e-bike side of things, where e-bikes is probably the only guiding light in most markets right now, that kind of thing. So this is basically a press release. And since they are out of Taiwan, we will probably see a Merida release of their numbers or what they report for the first 3 quarters of the year. This is not great going into the off season. Just not. It's just brutal. And it just shows in numbers what's actually happening here. So we've got some GoPro, Fox Factory. There's 2 Foxes. There's Fox Clothing and Fox Factory. So looks like the suspension portion's underperforming. There was somebody who was up 3%, Claris, which nobody really knows about too much, but they do car racks, Rhino and Rocky Mountain. So they were up. So you're seeing a little bit of a bump up here and there. And a European company here, or South Africa, interesting. In any case, also the other thing I saw big was Gore-Wear, which is Gore-Tex. Back in the 90s, Gore-Tex came out with like all these waterproof, water-resistant, breathable materials and all this. And basically, they're done. I haven't read the article yet, but pretty much the highlighting of the topic here is they're leaving the market. Is the company going somewhere else or doing something different with their, getting out of cycling? Maybe they're just doing other products. Since 1984. Wow, it's a long time. I've been doing running apparel from '97. Gore running. Also, I think Gore-Wear is also from Gore-Tex, if I'm not mistaken. And Gore-Tex was a very interesting product, and especially in the 90s. They dived into like the cables and housing realm, where I remember they had cables that, for your shifting and brakes, they would have a coating on the cable itself, and they had specific sleeves where it would go through, and that sleeve would go through the housing. So it really got complicated quick. They're trying to make it basically a watertight, contaminant-free cabling system with the slickness of Gore coating from the shifters and the brakes all the way to the derailleurs and the brake calipers, or V-brakes at the time. And the stuff was like, it hit the market. It was kind of popular, expensive as all heck back then. And they're that kind of they were the predecessors of what we see today with coated, basically coated brake cables and coated Teflon style, that kind of thing. I'm not sure when the Gore-Tex left the market on that part of it, but the clothing line emerged, and I think I have a couple Gore-Tex clothing that helped. It was like one of those things where for cycling apparel, it was pretty big, a big push, because water would drip off of it, but yet you wouldn't clam bake in it, basically get super hot and sweaty like just plastic covering. So there you go. That's like, two of the leading, hot off the press stories of the Freakout Friday or Friday Freakout. But in any case, yeah, it's like going back to buying new bikes and the intricacies of those, and the misinformation or the lack of information to the customer. It needs to really be stepped up. So I would believe that would be compounded with the actual lawsuit with Specialized, kind of like other companies will kind of perk up from this. And like one of the bikes that were new that were sold to these customers had tubeless system, already pre-tubeless. They were not told of that at the time of the bike purchase, and these are novice riders. So they don't know how to deal with tubeless, the setup and all that rigmarole. If they got a flat and they were having tires deflating too quickly, they took it back. They looked at it, they refreshed it with some new sealant, and it seems to be holding fine now. But that disruption of that new bike high was basically buzzkilled pretty darn quick on a $6,000 bike. Brutal, right? I mean, and you're probably thinking, well, what's a novice buying a $6,000 bike? My God, to get into a decent bike these days, you have to spend $4,000 to $6,000, which is what their Kool-Aid is. So yes, that's the novice market now, which is kind of insane to me, and probably insane to you if you're watching this. Like, that is kind of ridiculous, because back in the day, anything over $3,000 was like top of the line. Now we're looking at $20,000 for that. Nuts. But in any case, they needed, if they're going to push all this new Kool-Aid onto the market and manipulate it to a state of like the auto industry, make it more complicated and all those things, they need to have a layer of education to all those bikes, and not just any assumption factor that the customer knows exactly what they're looking at or what they're getting into. Because there's a lot of heartburn that could come from this, from either bad taste from the purchase itself, or the brand, or anything in between. So that really needs to be addressed. on top of already a bad image to a lot of shops, mostly because the price points are so high. So the game needs to be leveled up. If you're gonna, I mean, white glove treatment, like teach you how to take the wheels off of a through axle. Those are new. It does come with tubeless, or it's tubeless ready. What does that mean? Torque procession on bolts. So they get home and they go home with their Allen wrench and just start cranking on that carbon stem and they want to adjust and they pop something, or it fails on them when they ride. A lot of those educational layers for the customer needs to be there, regardless of the assumption that they're an avid cyclist to a novice. So that's my big beef of the week. That should be a part of a thing, like big beef of the week of the industry. Like, hey, that's a big thing. And now they're really kind of disheartened if they come around and buy another set of bikes. Will they go to the same shop, or will they go through another shop, or maybe they'll just drag me along and be a personal shopper. Like, well, this is what you're going to do, because they shouldn't have to do that. I mean, and then the bikes that are going direct to consumer, which is the newest rage. And how can you not, I mean, when you're looking at a price point in a bike and it's on sale like $2,000 down, and you were looking at that particular model, even though the prices, in my opinion, were inflated anyway, but that you're looking at a scenario where, as a consumer, you know, buyer beware regardless. Hopefully you have a shop in your neck of the woods, you have a better relationship or warm, fuzzy feeling, or a good mechanic that's working on your bike, or taking care of you in that perspective, because it is kind of squirrely out there for sure. But anyway, I mean, if you had experiences like this, good, bad, or otherwise, throw the chat or the comments below. I'd love to hear them and talk about them in real time here. But yeah, and again, if you like what you're seeing and what I'm talking about and so forth. Also mindful, when you take wheels off with a hydraulic disc brake system, do not hit the brake levers because I'll reset the pistons out or press them out, so you have to reset them. So either you have these little fancy wedges, which I don't have any over here, they're over in my fit area, or you can take a very similar, try not to press them out, but a very similar width cardboard piece and just put a piece of cardboard in there. Nothing with contaminants or anything that have to have grease or dirt or anything in there if you can. But that's a little trick to kind of, if you're transporting it or you're working on it and don't want to hit the brakes, that kind of thing. Or you can go to your local bike shop. They usually have a bucket left over from new bikes or what have you floating around. Honestly, every time I go grab boxes from the local shop here, usually one or two of those are floating around at the bottom of the box. So I just snag them and hang them up, because I'll just give them out. So, I mean, this is a simple little plastic wedge that fits in there for prevention. For back to chain waxing, yeah, since I'm waxing here, I've spent enough time. This is way more time than you need. It's usually, I do about 5 minutes in the dirty wax and another 5 minutes in the clean wax. If it sits in longer, it's no big deal. It's not going to damage anything. And then I go ahead and turn those off. Let that drip the excess so you have less wax to shed as you're preparing it. And then once that's dry, then I put it through the little chain tool that I mentioned before. But once you install it on the bike, it might be kind of stiff at first when you do the drivetrain, you know, going through each one of those gears. Keep in mind, it is recommended within 5 to 10 miles of riding for it to actually kick in. But once it kicks in or sheds, basically, and it gets really smooth, it'll get really quiet, and the shifting is going to be immaculate. It'll be a night and day difference. You should know the difference. I just did one with a customer, and he had some noises in his back of the bike where that was one of the problems. The other one was a brake needed to be bled, so I took care of the brake bleed, and I cleaned his whole drivetrain just to kind of nip any kind of questionable cause of a squeak or a noise or a tick. The cassette was a little loose, was not tight on there as 14 Newton meters, which it was on there stamped. It was not even close to that. Chewed the wheels, cleaned the drivetrain, waxed the chain, cleaned the pulleys, cleaned the crankset, all that. So everything was tight and buttoned up on the back end of the bike. So whatever noise there was there, it was gone when he took it for his long ride. The first one, he did like 20 or 30 miles on his first ride out. And when I saw him the next day, he was like, thing is just flawless. It's so smooth. It performed better than it did when it was new. So needless to say, even on that new bike that rolled off the lot, some performance factors on that to enhance that bike, he felt the difference to a novice rider, the difference in how it performed and so forth. So therefore, that direct consumer bike out of the box may not be at its highest level. So that is inspired me, or had me add a new service level to my service packages that I provide. I don't do a lot of, I do a lot of full tune-ups, but I don't do a lot of little services like tube flats and so forth. I'm not that kind of a shop. Everything's appointment based. It's more like you're going into bike spa kind of thing for me. And one of the level packages, I see a need for this now, and a lot of shops should take a look at this for themselves, especially independent shops, or look for a shop that has this service, especially if you have a bike that's direct to consumer. There's 3 pillars I was thinking that was lacking, or that is definitely lacking with the new bike purchase. One is basically, well, being assembled correctly, but we'll just assume that's the case. It was put together correctly. They watched the videos and ready to go. But bringing the bike into this particular service, I call it a refresh your new ride, or something like that. Fun play of words. So essentially what I provide is a ceramic coating to the frame and cleaning of the parts, and this coating with either ceramic wax blend for all the parts to help keep clean, UV protected, and all those things. So yeah, it's a high fancy thing, just like on cars, right? You're gonna get that new car and you want to have it ceramic coated, so you're going to spend $1,500 to $2,000 to have it detailed and ceramic coated. Okay, it's a lot cheaper than that on bikes, but any case, it's the same philosophy, the same products that they're using, that kind of thing, to get that bike to peak performance. Especially if you have a super fancy paint job. If you spending that $10,000 for a bike and it has that super fancy paint job, ceramic coating is going to be your friend for sure. You can either do it yourself or have a professional done it like myself. The second big thing is the misnomer that a new chain is ready to go out of the box. It isn't. Technically, it isn't. Being in the industry for 35 years, kind of known this, but you're like, you just drink the Kool-Aid of the manufacturers of Shimano and SRAM and whoever, KMC, whoever's making chains, like, oh, the coating on there that's ready to go. It will be the highest performance. No. Not at all. That's actually a packing grease, preventing it from rusting from the manufacturer overseas to into your shop or store or your house. So really is not high performance whatsoever. To add a high performance lube on top of that, which most people end up doing because like, oh, I got this new fancy bottle of lube that the salesperson sold me, and I'm going to put it on top of this mix. Then you're mixing materials, and then you also have a hot mess of a drivetrain. A little misnomer that chains need to be stripped from the manufacturer packing grease to apply any performance lube, period, for to work how it's designed to do. Either as a drip lube or a wax. That needs to be done. So yeah, unfortunately, that new bike is not ready to go, even though this is shipped to you or rolled off the showroom floor, because it hasn't been stripped from that manufacturing grease. I've been a failure of this for years in shops before, and it's been like that, so it's really hard to change the course of the industry. But yes, you got yourself that fancy $30 bottle of lube that's supposed to do all sorts of cool stuff to your drivetrain, but if you don't strip all that manufacturing off that grease of the chain, it's just going to cross-contaminate it. So usually people don't get to that stage until they're into their first tune-up of the new bike and that kind of thing. Here's the thing of the new bike refresh is you get a chain stripped and waxed. If you want to use your own lube, like a certain high-level Diamante or whatever UFO lube, I can leave it dry and you can apply that or bring it in and I'll apply it for you. The wax is the process itself, but with the wax, it makes it pretty much smooth. There's a whole bunch of tech information out there from Zero Friction, which is another channel, or other things out there that, you know, test their product. But I wouldn't take any manufacturer's Kool-Aid to heart. I mean, yeah, they'll have the description of what's supposed to do, but when you have a separate independent tester like Zero Friction that doesn't get paid by any of these people to test their products and have an honest to God like chart related scientific process to it, then you can see those performance factors. Regardless, you do want to lube your drivetrain, period. But hopefully you're not cross-contaminated. Back to the service package. The service package includes those two things. Here's one little tidbit of helpful hint of any bike shop out there or any person that's buying a bike. Fit. Fit should have been always number one, the thing that you did when you went shopping for a bike. Is that the right size for you? We're all made, I mean, maybe the same height, but we all are built differently. Longer legs, shorter torso, vice versa, what have you. You know, big lengthy arms like me, or really short T-Rex arms, not to insult anyone, but we're all different and we all have different sizes, and bikes will accommodate those with certain fitting pieces. There lose that whole extra business that bike shops have made is called fitting services, which they're going to charge a huge chunk of money for. But with my refresh, I do provide a free static fit, which basically I put you in the trainer, adjust a couple things on your bike, and hey, while I'm there, I'll teach you how to use the shifting, or be mindful of little insights about the brake system, or like yesterday, how to take quick releases, and not quick releases, but through axles, and they had a little key on their back they didn't even know about. And this is a new bike, by the way, they just bought from somebody else. And in addition to what is tubeless, and what does it all entail, and what's the performance factors of that, and all those things. Get them to really know their bike in a customized way of partially fitting them to it, making sure the adjustments of the seat height is right, saddle tilt, bar angles, and all those things. It's a game changer. So for me to provide that with the wax, with the ceramic coating, you can pick whatever packages a shop, what you want to do to elevate their experience for that new ride, especially if they're spending over $2,000. That's still a lot of money. And therefore, it gives them that more, it definitely will give them that warm hug feeling. And granted, nothing's perfect. Things may may have a problem, but they're going to be a little more confident in your services and the shop. If your shop is providing this, you're going to feel that warm, fuzzy feeling too, and that kind of thing. So there is that elevated tune-up thing. And on top of that, we're going to talk about this here. Brought to you by Medem Bikes, where you can find bicycles that won't break the bank. Great brands like Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings to extend that adventure starting now. Okay, the reason why I plugged that one, Medem is a direct-to-consumer company as well. They have leftover bikes, there's several other companies like this out there too, and the price points are a lot lower. They're basically just getting rid of a high volume leftover bikes, and they are direct to consumer. These all should be put together by a professional mechanic. So what I'm saying there's a huge layer of direct to consumer bike companies, or they switch to that direction with their business model, that the bikes were not really designed to be put together by the consumer. They were more designed to be built by a bike mechanic. So if you have a new bike build option in your local area for bike shop to have that done, if it's even 50 to $100, that's going to save you hours of frustration of putting the thing together and making sure it's put together right to begin with. And also it's safe to ride. And again, this is all about safety. I mean, $2,000, $6,000, $20,000, $200 bikes, it's all about safety, because you're on two wheels, sometimes three, but usually on two wheels, and you're balancing and you're navigating through your life, like cars, other people on the bike paths, or down a fast descent and so forth, like the e-bike scenario with a Specialized where the kick out of the extended, which kept on going apparently, or something of that nature, and he just flew off the trail. You know, things of that nature. You need to be educated on how to ride those newer tech pieces bikes and how to perform, and also the nuances of what's going to cost you to work on those later on. And in addition to having the best experience possible, and safety is, again, first, followed by fit. So those things are really very, very, very important. So even if you're buying it from Medem or another of those handful of bikes that go direct to consumer, especially when we're in the time of year where we're starting to buy bikes for our kids for Christmas or what have you, or Christmas, and you want to make sure you give yourself some time. So I'd be getting those bikes in like now, ordered, because you'll get it within a week or so, maybe 2, worst case. Then you can get it down to your local bike person or bike shop to have it done, or put it together yourself to make sure it's dialed, because you want to make sure that surprise element when they see that bike underneath the tree or gift, or Christmas, birthday, or whatever it is, that it's ready to go and ride at the moment, not just a box of parts that you're going to be spending numerous hours on a holiday trying to figure out. So proactive on this, and that's one of my golden gold nuggets there. Just like get it in, get it put together, get it all tuned up, ready to go, get some insights on the bike, and then you can go have that wonderful experience of a new bike on the holiday or birthday or that kind of thing. It's it will make or break the experience, I guarantee you. All right, got some people finally chatting in. Awesome. XC mountain bike. Cheers from Germany. Hey. Yeah, that's pretty far from here. It's probably way cocktail time on a Friday night. You're probably watching this at the pub, aren't you? Well, in any case, thank you for joining in. Hopefully you're being entertained by my impromptu Friday jibber jabber freak out Friday, or Friday freak out. I forgot what I called it. In any case, it's Friday. It's time to freak out. In any case, Downrange Bike Works. Hey, thanks for shouting out from Salt Lake. Yes, apparently one of your other companies in Salt Lake. Well, there's a carbon fiber paddle company that took either the CSS or CCS carbon manufacturing wheel companies liquidation, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Salt Lake. And also, that's where one of the main warehouses for Specialized is in Salt Lake City. So, Downrange Bike Works. Oh yeah, and I talked about you on a I wasn't this week's podcast, or not podcast, I mean, Shop Talk Tuesday. I don't think it was this week, maybe it was last week. Anyway, featured your shop a little bit. Pretty cool little shop. Great, great little insights. I love your story. Looks like you're out of like a industrial building space, doing your thing, and providing a great experience for your local riders, that kind of thing, for sure. And yeah, if you are watching this, check out his channel. Yes, he's just starting off, so he's a little baby YouTuber, getting into it. And I'll tell you what, it'll be wild, and wild and crazy times, because that's the YouTube world and bike people trying to do YouTube. So, but so far, your stuff has been, I saw a couple of your videos, it's really good, but absolutely. So yeah, if you're looking for another channel to watch, and he has some good insights on some e-bike stuff. And then he's one of those shops that is affected by that, in a sense, good, bad, or otherwise. Either selling them, or you're in it, or you're not, whatever. He's seems like a pretty good individual doing his thing, and I'm an advocate for the small shops because I am in one and in the mix myself. But that's where I came from too. I came from Parker Bikes days, and this is the old logo here, and we did a run on a family bike shop through late 80s to the early 2000s, and we had to close. And it was a lot of experience. I grew up in a bike shop in my 20s, and coming from that backing, I've always had, even though I did work for way bigger shops and chain stores and all that in my, quiver of experiences, I really feel, and my heart really belongs in the small shop, the mom and pop shop, that kind of thing, or just individuals who are just trying to make it. And I'm, more than happy to feature shops like yours on my channel to give light that there's some really good individuals trying to do really good things, and where in an industry where there can be some bad publicity, bad press, bad experiences, whatever the case, we're trying to make it right because we're building a community, not necessarily a bike shop. Yes, we do need to have enough money to pay our bills, but as we all know, in the cycling industry, if you want to make $1 million in the cycling industry, you need to start off with 2. And it's not something that we're not going to make a huge amount of money on. Some have, granted, but that is kind of like your 1% club. The rest of us are just doing it because of the passion of bicycles and cycling and what it has done for us and what it has potentially can do for you, the cyclists, and also other bike mechanics that just I want to just get to the point where I work a little less so I can ride more, not necessarily not work more, just ride. So that's where I'm at. Oh yeah, bike time for mountain bike. Yes. Oh, you work at a truck store. Oh, really? Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Truck store, is it a corporate store in Germany, or is it a independent bike company that carried Trek? Because there's two little worlds there, that kind of thing. Any case, that's what we've seen a lot of shrinkage of our stores in the States too. And talking to some other industry individuals, when Trek was purchasing a whole bunch of bike shops, it was kind of by design there was going to be a shrinkage. Like, we're going to flood it and see what works and pull back what doesn't. Basically, I think the whole scenario right now is really kind of hit the rubber to the road. Like, either you're performing well or we're going to cut those stores. But interesting that was kind of the philosophy. I've worked with a few people that worked at the local shop. It used to be Lee's, now is corporate, and they're working there at corporate store, and they're not told, obviously. Either they won't tell me, which is fine, which is probably shouldn't anyway, of anything that's going on because of whatever. But I'm pretty sure they're not getting very much information from up above. They're just hoping their paychecks come in and they have benefits and so forth. But I'm sorry to hear that you're, essentially that store is closing. Are they relocating you, or an option to locate to another shop, or is there other shops in the market that you can actually basically jump ship to? I hope, it's just, that is very disruptive. Hopefully you can stay within the cycling industry if you still love it. Sometimes people get a bad taste in their mouth and they're like, ooh, I just don't want to do this ever again, kind of thing. And for everybody's perspective, you have your own. But in any case, that is, that's sorry to hear. I don't like seeing any shops close down at all, because you're disservicing the community, because you're not providing, there's no of our provide services for those who need help working on those bikes and so forth, or getting new ones. Vital Bike Chains in the house. Dude, just talked to you yesterday. If you may not have heard, but I was talking about you earlier a little bit, and I'm literally was waxing a chain behind me for this refresh. And yes, looking forward to getting our collaborating video out. But Vital Bike Chains, he has his own YouTube channel. Very funny individual, very charismatic, but all he does is wax chains. And don't take that weird. But he provides a great product that It's pre-waxed, out of the box, ready to go, and he'll be more than happy to help you with the formulation to more of a race speed wax, if you're into that, or just general waxing chains and services and that. So yeah, check out his channel at Vital Bike Chains, and also check out his website, which I believe I do have it in the description of this video below. So check it out. And yeah, if you're looking for wax chains, he's the guy. I'm just a bike mechanic. Does a whole bunch of other things that does bike chain. It's more of a, it's not even close to a part of my business. I almost have no business doing it, but it is a service I do provide. So it loses the question, chicken for the egg, egg for the chicken kind of thing. In any case, thanks for jumping in. All right. Oh, mountain bike, yeah, XC mountain bike. Oh, you're thinking about you doing your own thing. Awesome. Bought most of the workshop's tools, so let's see what the future brings. Yeah. There's volatility everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing weirdness here, but I know it's going beyond our borders. So I know the whole cycling industry in a whole globally is having some interesting times, needless to say. Especially I do watch some of the news segments coming out of Europe, and they've been having some struggles too for a while regardless. So this does not help, I'm sure. Doing your own thing. Awesome. Yeah, small bike shop in the garage thing. It is fruitful. You do feel like your community, supporting your community. There's a lot of learnings to it, and what most of the learnings is yourself, self-reflecting, reflecting, because what it boiled down to me, works for me is it's all appointment based. I was able to do that through appointment program and website. I had a buddy that helped me with the website and all of that. Since AI is out now, so you can do a lot of that yourself pretty easily, or less of a lift. I want to say easier. And you're going to be dividing your time amongst doing repairs and then all the other business aspects too. Responding to emails, tech questions, customer service related questions. If you branch off into YouTube or social media posts and all that to market yourself. Yeah, I've found very good successes. If you're a personality like me that just likes to jibber jabber to himself to a phone in the garage, this might be the place for you. And it really has helped my business thrive, not necessarily for money directly from YouTube itself. It really is driven a lot of business locally. People see me here and they go, I want that person to work on my bike. And they drive hours from a distance to have me work on their stuff. So it can be done. Are you going to make a lot of money? Probably not. But if you build up, and there's been some shops that follow my channel that they've done a lot of small individual one-person shop business and are doing fairly well. I'm not sure. It all depends what your market is in your town or your neck of the woods, but e-bikes and gravel are really big here. That doesn't necessarily mean it's big in your area, but there's going to be a deficit, obviously, for a shop that's going to close down. Either that shop was acquired by Trek or whatever, or just built up. It's going to be an empty hole now, where those customers that you've been seeing that have been coming in are going to need somewhere to go. And this is a great time to kind of leverage that. But here in the States, we have to be insured to make sure it's right. Business license and all that. So those are the great two things you got to look into. And I want to dive into a retail location right off the bat, unless you have an opportunity to do so that makes sense. But the number two things of a business owner is, number one, you want to get to a point where you own all your inventory to the most part, so you're not taking on loans and interests. And the second is owning your own building. Real estate is usually hugely key for success for most bike shops. So that's what I got for you. Good luck on your journey if you decide to go that direction. Hope to see you in the ranks and watch you flourish. And if you have a channel that you're going to be doing videos, and there's plenty, don't worry, there's plenty of room for all those wackadoodles to do our thing. Because there's a lot of people watching, and that's what's so cool about it, because you can do almost the same thing I'm doing, but they're going to watch both of us, that kind of thing. And Bike Farmer is one of those super uber successful ones recently, along with all the others, but he's the one that kind of skyrocketed. And he's really, honestly, he's not really doing that too special of the stuff. It's just honest and straight, and people like his personality. So that's what it comes down to. So in any case, that's what we got. Oh, yeah. Seth from Burn Peak. Yeah, that guy. I've seen some of his videos. I mean, I don't watch a lot of his, but I'm doing stuff. But I see a few of his, and I'm like, wow. And I look hesitant. But he's been doing it for a while, though. I mean, he's put some time in. So I can't say. I mean, I put a couple of years in. I'm doing pretty good for what I've needed it to do. So I'm pretty happy with that, for sure. Let's see here. Anybody else jibber jabbering? Awesome. Oh, there's volatility everywhere. I'm one of those former federal employees. Yeah, I did. I noticed you were. I don't know if you were saying you had a stint in the military, Downrange Bike Works. So thank you for your services, for sure, of doing that. And I've had a lot of friends, and I still have currently friends that are still active or reserve, and those are former. So yeah, your stories and everything and what you've done warms my heart, and we should always respect and also acknowledge what you've helped us able to be what we do without all the scaries of the rest of the world. In any case, not to get into that too much, but anyway, but thank you for your services. Yeah, and so it forced me to think about what I really want to do. I've been in it under several different roles in the cycling industry, from a son of a bike shop, which was, you name it. Like I was the prick kid that knew it all. And I do apologize for anybody in my 20s of being that way, because I was the son of a bike shop, and that's, a short for something else. And but I've had some growings, and I've been put down in the dirt a couple times, and rebuilt myself, and understanding what the real passion is of cycling and what it can do for people. And I'm more humble now, and I'm able to structure my business to part of my lifestyle, and making it work for me and my family. So there's always another part of this, right? To a lot of us, we got a family to be a part of, and we don't want to be working 80 hours a week and not being part of that and missing that. So if you can find that balance and not burn yourself out, and work smarter, not harder, is easy to say but hard to do. And sometimes you need to take risks of scaling back, pulling back. But if you do it right and you have a built community, they'll support you regardless. Case in point, I'm all appointment based only. It's like I'm a house in a suburb of Loveland, Colorado. So everything's appointment based. They're flexible. My customers respect that, and respect them can bring stuff to me, which at first I thought this was really weird, but they're really happy of what I perform and products that I provide and all those things. Would I be making a lot more money if I was just nose down and doing all that and not doing YouTube? I don't know, maybe. But the YouTube part of it is really giving me, or social media part of it is really giving me an outlet to communicate to a bigger, broader range, and also give back, believe it or not. Giving back to shops like yours that are smaller or just starting out. I may have some insights. Hopefully they'll help you navigate through your journey and building up your communities and that kind of thing. So that's where I'm trying to give it a double thumbs up of, double down on efforts on that. And, selfishly, trying to make more of a passive income. So I'm not working as much, and maybe I can ride a little more and spend more time with family as well, and still be able to provide a community service and that kind of thing. So through all those channels, something's going to have to work at some point. But I'm very fortunate because my significant other, she has a really good job, so that covers a lot of other things. So it all depends if you're in that position and so forth. But it is a hard journey because you do have off seasons, and sometimes you'll have some successes, sometimes you have some huge failures. And like in life in itself, you just try to survive it and try to be better than you were before. And that's all you can ask. And sometimes it doesn't work out for people. They're not really good at doing it, which is fine. You got to acknowledge that within yourself. Some people just have a bad luck at it, or they thought it was something and it turned out to be completely different. And that's another thing too. But if you go in with your eyes open, with a grain of salt, and willing to put the work in, there's a lot of possible positivity out of it personally, as well as maybe you'll make a little buck or two to help you get along and get yourself a nice fresh new ride, that kind of thing. But it's just one of those deals where there's a lot of positive to cycling. There's a lot of positive to helping others being in cycling, even if it's in a part-time capacity that you do it or full-time. And everybody that I work with now as my customer base, it's been a real joy. I mean, it's been really great being on the later half of my journey of the cycling. Not to say I'm quitting anytime soon, but I still have some years to put in and to give, and that's where I'm at. So, in any case, I gotta finish this bad boy up so I can get it listed sometime this weekend if I'm lucky. And I do have a list of other bikes I need to jump onto. So for small business, for mine, I do take breaks, but really weekends don't really equate to much. It's like I still work. Tomorrow morning I'll be working, and on Sunday I'll be working some, and then try to find that balance in between everything, right? In any case. All right, those who chimed in, thank you. And those who are watching, thank you for checking out what I'm doing on Friday. And yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and able to spend some time with your family and riding and doing what you love doing. And it's times right now where you kind of just have to take the happy moments and just hold on to them as much as you can. And hopefully you have a smile on your face while you go through whatever neck of the woods you're riding. So in any case, thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday. If you have any questions, put it in the comments underneath. If you're watching this on the replay, and I hope you guys have a great weekend coming up. And if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Thanks again for hanging out in the garage. And until next week, if this keeps going, let's just keep this going. I like the free form of, just whatever crap is my stand, and let's just talk about it. In any case, you guys have a wonderful weekend.